The village of Aroa nestled itself in the heart of the African savanna, cradled by rolling plains and embraced by a circle of ancient baobab trees. The baobabs stood like silent sentinels, their thick trunks and sprawling branches casting long, whispering shadows across the land. The villagers believed that these ancient trees held the spirits of their ancestors, guarding them and guiding them through the trials of life. As the sun began its descent, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, Ayo, a 17-year-old hunter, made his way back from the day's expedition. His lithe frame moved with the ease of someone intimately connected to the land, each step a testament to his familiarity with the terrain. His keen eyes scanned the horizon, ever vigilant for signs of movement, whether prey or predator. But today, something else tugged at his senses. Ayo paused near the largest baobab tree, known as a Runmila, named after the deity of wisdom. The tree's massive trunk seemed to pulse with an ancient energy, and its leaves rustled with a sound that was almost like whispers. He tilted his head, straining to catch the words carried on the evening breeze. "Irua, danger, protect." The whispers were faint, almost indistinguishable from the rustling leaves, but Ayo's heart quickened. He knelt, placing his hand against the rough bark of Oromilla, feeling the tree's life force vibrate beneath his palm. A sense of urgency gripped him, as if the spirits within the baobab were trying to communicate directly with him. That night, the village gathered around the central fire, the flames dancing and casting flickering shadows on the faces of the elders who sat in a circle, their expressions solemn. Ayo took his place among them, his mind still racing with the whispers he had heard. "Elders," Ayo began, his voice steady but tinged with the excitement of his discovery. "Today, while I was out hunting, I heard the baobabs whispering. They spoke of danger and the need to protect Aroa." The murmurs of the villagers hushed, all eyes turning to the oldest and wisest of the elders, Baba Tunji. His face was a map of wrinkles, each line telling a story of battles fought and wisdom gained. He leaned forward, eyes glinting with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "The baobabs speak only when the spirits have something of great importance to convey," Baba Tunji said, his voice carrying the weight of years. "What you heard, Ayo, must not be taken lightly." The fire crackled, filling the silence that followed Baba Tunji's words. The villagers waited, their breaths held in anticipation. "Long ago," Baba Tunji continued, "the spirits of our ancestors chose the baobabs as their dwelling, to watch over us and guide us. They are the keepers of our history and our protectors. If they whisper of danger, then we must heed their warning." Ayo listened intently, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He was just a young hunter, but the spirits had chosen to speak to him. The whispers were a call to action, a call he could not ignore. As the meeting dispersed, Ayo remained by the fire, gazing into the flames as if seeking answers within their depths. His thoughts swirled with questions. What danger loomed over Irua? How could he protect his village? The whispers had been clear, but their meaning was still shrouded in mystery. The night grew darker, the stars appearing one by one in the sky, each a silent witness to the promise Ayo made to himself. He would uncover the truth behind the whispers, no matter the cost. The spirits had chosen him for a reason, and he would not let them down. With a resolve as strong as the baobabs themselves, Ayo rose from the fire and made his way to his hut. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with unseen dangers and challenges. But Ayo knew one thing for sure: he would protect Aroa, guided by the wisdom of the ancient trees and the whispers of the spirits. The journey was just beginning, and Ayo was ready to face whatever lay ahead. The sun hung low in the sky, casting an amber glow over the village of Irua. As Ayo made his way toward the heart of the settlement, the whispers from the baobab trees still echoed in his mind, urging him to seek answers from those who held the knowledge of the ages, the village elders. Irua's elders were revered guardians of history and tradition. Their wisdom was sought in times of joy and in moments of crisis, their words carrying the weight of generations. Ayo approached the council hut, a structure adorned with intricate carvings and symbols of the ancestral spirits, feeling a mixture of anticipation and reverence. Inside the hut, the air was thick with the scent of burning herbs. The elders sat in a semicircle on woven mats, their faces lined with age, but their eyes sharp and perceptive. At the center sat Baba Tunde, the eldest and most respected of them all. His hair was a snowy white, and his voice, though softened by age, commanded attention. Ayo, Baba Tunde began, his voice a gentle rumble, "What brings you to our council at this hour?" Ayo bowed respectfully before speaking. "Baba Tunde, elders of Irua, I come seeking your wisdom. Today, while hunting near the ancient baobabs, I heard whispers voices speaking in a language I could not understand. They filled me with a sense of foreboding." The elders exchanged glances, their expressions grave. Baba Tunde motioned for Ayo to sit, and the young hunter took his place on a mat facing the elders. "Tell us more, child," urged Mama Adisa, another elder whose eyes sparkled with curiosity and concern. Ayo recounted his experience in detail, the eerie silence that fell over the forest, the strange whispers that seemed to come from the trees themselves, and the feeling that something dark was approaching. As he spoke, the elders listened intently, nodding occasionally, their faces betraying a mix of understanding and worry. When Ayo finished, Baba Tunde leaned forward, his gaze piercing. "The baobabs are not merely trees, Ayo. They are the living vessels of our ancestor spirits. For generations they have stood as silent guardians, watching over our village and ensuring our prosperity." Mama Adisa added, "It is said that when the baobabs whisper, it is a warning, a sign that the balance between our world and the spirit world is threatened." Ayo felt a chill run down his spine. What could threaten such a balance? The elders fell silent for a moment, each lost in thought. Finally, Baba Tunde spoke, his voice heavy with foreboding. "There are those who seek to exploit the power of the baobabs for their own gain. Dark rituals that enslave the spirits, bending them to the will of the greedy and the corrupt. If such a ritual were to be performed, it would bring great suffering to Erua." Ayo's mind raced. The whispers he had heard were not just a warning, they were a call to action. "What must I do to protect our village and the baobabs?" he asked, determination burning in his eyes. Baba Tunde smiled, the glimmer of pride in his weathered face. "Your heart is pure, Ayo. To protect the baobabs, you must first understand their secrets. Seek out the wisdom within the forest. Listen to the whispers, and let the spirits guide you. And remember, you are not alone. We, the elders, will support you with all the knowledge and protection we can offer." Mama Adisa reached out, placing a reassuring hand on Ayo's shoulder. "You have the spirit of a warrior, Ayo. Trust in yourself and in the strength of our ancestors. They will guide you." As the meeting concluded, the elders bestowed upon Ayo several protective charms, amulets woven from sacred threads, blessed by their chants. They also gave him a small pouch of herbs, meant to enhance his connection with the spirit world. Ayo left the council hut feeling a profound sense of purpose. The path ahead was fraught with danger, but he was resolute. He would protect the baobabs, honor the ancestors, and ensure the safety of his beloved village. As he walked back through Irua, the whispers of the baobabs seemed to grow softer, almost as if they were whispering words of encouragement. The night was deep and still when Ayo finally returned to his home. He lay on his mat, the elders' words echoing in his mind. The stars above seemed to shimmer with a new intensity, and the baobabs, silhouetted against the night sky, stood tall and silent, their presence a comforting reminder of the spirits watching over him. With a heart full of resolve and a mind buzzing with newfound knowledge, Ayo drifted into sleep, ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. The sun had begun its descent, casting long golden shadows across the savannah. The villages of Ero were winding down their daily activities. The rhythmic pounding of mortar and pestle in the distance, children's laughter echoing through the dusty air. Ayo, with his spear slung over his shoulder, walked through the village square, lost in thought about the whispers he had heard from the baobabs. As he neared the central gathering hut, a commotion broke the evening's tranquility. Villagers clustered together, murmuring and pointing towards the horizon. a group of strangers approached, led by a tall, imposing figure draped in flowing, earth-toned robes. His staff, adorned with intricate carvings and feathers, caught the last rays of the sun, glinting ominously. Ayo's heart quickened as he recognized the emblem on the stranger's robe, a serpent coiled around the moon, the symbol of the shaman from the neighboring village. The stories he had heard as a child about this shaman, Ikwim, painted him as a man of great power and mystery. His arrival was unexpected and unsettling. Ikwim's eyes, sharp and calculating, scanned the crowd as he approached the elder's hut. The villagers parted like the Red Sea, whispering amongst themselves, their expressions a mixture of awe and fear. Ikwim's presence was magnetic, drawing everyone's attention, including Ayo's. "Ayo," whispered one of the elders, beckoning him over. "Stay close and listen. We must understand his intentions." As the elder spoke, Ikwim stepped into the circle of elders, bowing slightly in greeting. His voice, deep and resonant, filled the air. "Greetings, wise elders of Irua. I am Ikwim, shaman of the neighboring village. I come with a message of peace and a request for alliance." The head elder, an old man with a face etched by time and wisdom, nodded in acknowledgement. "Welcome, Ikwim. What brings you to our humble village?" Ikwim's smile was thin, calculated. "Our lands are not so different, our people bound by the same earth and sky. I propose that we join forces, share our knowledge, and protect our lands together. The world is changing, and unity will be our strength." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Ayo's eyes narrowed as he watched Ikwim closely, sensing an underlying motive. He had learned to trust his instincts, and something about the shaman's demeanor felt disingenuous. As the elders continued to converse with Ikwimi, Ayo slipped away, seeking out his friend Kelechi, who was known for his sharp mind and even sharper ears. "Kelechi, did you hear what Ikwimi said?" "There's something not right about him," Ayo confided. Kelechi nodded, his expression serious. "I've heard rumors about his dark practices. Some say he's been trying to harness forbidden powers. We need to keep an eye on him." Later that night, while the village slept, Ayo and Kelechi shadowed Ikwim's camp. Hidden in the shadows of the baobabs, they watched as Ikwim and his followers gathered around a small fire. Their voices were low, but the words they spoke sent chills down Ayo's spine. "The ritual must be completed on the night of the new moon," Ikwim whispered to his followers. "The spirits of the baobabs will grant us unimaginable power and arrow what will be ours to command." Ayo clenched his fists, anger and fear mingling within him. Ikwim's true intentions were revealed. He sought to enslave the spirits of the baobabs, using their power for his own gain, regardless of the consequences for Erua. As the firelight flickered across Ikwim's face, casting eerie shadows, Ayo knew he had to act. He and Kelechi slipped away, their minds racing with plans to thwart the shaman's dark designs. They would need the wisdom of the elders, the bravery of their friends, and the strength of the Babs to protect their village from the looming threat. Dawn broke over Arua, the sky painted in hues of pink and gold, as Ayo and Kelechi approached the elders' hut with urgency. The village had to be warned and preparations made. The battle for the soul of Arua was about to begin, and Ayo was ready to stand at the forefront of the fight. The sun dipped low over the savannah, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch endlessly toward Arua. The villagers went about their evening routines, unaware of the dark cloud of deceit looming over them. Ayo, however, felt a palpable unease gnawing at his heart. The whispers of the baobabs had warned him of an impending threat, and he could not shake the feeling that something sinister was at play. Ayo had observed Ikwim, the shaman from the neighboring village, since his arrival. The shaman's presence had been met with open arms, for he had brought gifts and spoken words of friendship. Yet, Ayo had noticed the glint of cunning in Ikwimi's eyes, a look that belied his charming demeanor. Tonight, Ayo decided to follow Ikwim, hoping to uncover the truth behind his visit. As darkness fell, Ayo moved stealthily through the village, his footsteps silent on the packed earth. He trailed Ikwim to the outskirts of Arua, where the largest and oldest baobab tree stood, its gnarled branches silhouetted against the moonlit sky. Here, in the shadows, Ikwim met with a small group of his followers, their faces obscured by the flickering light of a single lantern. Io crouched behind a thicket, his heart pounding as he strained to hear their conversation. Ikwemi's voice, usually smooth and persuasive, now took on a harsh, commanding tone. "The time is near," Ikwemi said, his eyes gleaming with malevolence. "When the moon is full, we will perform the ritual. The spirits of the baobabs will be bound to our will, and their power will be ours to command. With this power, Erua and the surrounding lands will bow to us or face the wrath of eternal drought and famine." A chill ran down Ayo's spine. The shaman's plan was more diabolical than he had imagined. Binding the spirits of the baobabs would not only strip the trees of their ancient wisdom, but would also curse the land with unending desolation. Ayo knew he had to act, but he needed allies and guidance. Silently retreating, Ayo made his way back to the village, his mind racing. He sought out the home of Adiola, one of the village's elders and a woman known for her deep knowledge of the old ways. He found her sitting by a small fire, her wrinkled hands deftly weaving a basket. "Ayo, what troubles you so?" Adiola asked, looking up with concern as he approached. "Adiola, I have uncovered a grave danger," he began, his voice urgent. He recounted what he had heard, every word of Ikuin's plan and the impending ritual. Adiola listened intently, her expression growing more serious with each passing moment. "This is indeed dire news, Ayo," she said finally. "Ikuin's magic is dark and powerful, but it is not invincible. We must act quickly and wisely." Together, they sought out other trusted elders and Ayo's closest friends, including Kofi, a skilled herbalist with a deep connection to the spirits, and Aif Wawai with a heart as fierce as a lion's. As they gathered in the center of the village, Ayo shared his findings, and the group devised a plan to thwart Ikuin's ritual. "We must prepare ourselves with protective charms," Adiola advised. "The spirits of our ancestors will aid us if we show respect and courage." Kofi nodded, producing a pouch filled with sacred herbs and amulets. "These will shield us from Ikuin's dark magic," he said, distributing the charms among them. Aif, ever the strategist, outlined their approach. "We will divide into two groups. One will confront Ikwemi and disrupt the ritual, while the other will guard the village and ensure no harm comes to our people." As the night wore on, the group finalized their plans, each member steeling themselves for the battle ahead. The air was thick with tension, but also with a sense of unity and purpose. They knew the stakes were high. The future of Erua and the sacred baobabs rested on their shoulders. Before they dispersed, Adiola spoke a final blessing. "May the spirits of our ancestors guide and protect us. Remember, we fight not only for ourselves, but for the generations to come." With hearts fortified by courage and resolve, Ayo and his allies prepared for the confrontation that would determine the fate of their village. As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, they knew that the coming days would test their strength, their faith, and their bond with the ancient spirits of the whispering baobabs. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long golden shadows across the village of Erua. The air was thick with anticipation, and the once tranquil whispers of the baobab trees now carried a sense of urgency. Ayo, standing at the edge of the village, gazed out at the savannah, his heart heavy with the knowledge of the impending confrontation. He knew that the fate of Erua rested on his shoulders. Ayo gathered his closest allies beneath the largest baobab tree, its ancient branches stretching towards the heavens. With him were Nia, a skilled herbalist with a heart as fierce as a lioness; Olu, a warrior known for his strength and unwavering loyalty; and a wise elder whose knowledge of ancient spells and protective charms was unmatched. Together they formed a formidable team, united by their love for the village and their determination to protect it. "Ayo, the spirits have spoken to me," Ad said, his voice a low, gravelly whisper. "They have revealed the nature of Ikwim's dark magic. He plans to bind the spirits of the baobabs, drawing their power into himself. If he succeeds, our land will wither and our people will suffer." Nia's eyes blazed with determination. "We cannot let that happen. We must act quickly and with precision." "What is our plan?" Ayo took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. "We must disrupt the ritual before it reaches its climax. Ikuim will be vulnerable during the incantations, but we will also face his dark magic and the power of his followers. We need to be prepared for anything. Olu stepped forward, his muscular frame tense with resolve. I will lead a group to distract his followers, drawing their attention away from the ritual site. This will give Ayo and Ad the chance to get close to Ikuim and stop him. Aid nodded, his eyes glinting with the wisdom of years. And I will provide you with protective charms and spells. The spirits of our ancestors will guide us and lend us their strength. The group dispersed, each member moving with purpose and determination. Nia and Olu began gathering supplies, their hands swift and sure as they prepared for the battle ahead. Ayo and Aid retreated to the sacred grove, a hidden sanctuary where the air was thick with the presence of the ancestors. There Aid began to chant, his voice rising and falling in a melodic cadence, calling upon the spirits for their aid. Ayo watched in awe as Aid drew intricate symbols in the dirt, each one glowing with a faint, otherworldly light. The air around them seemed to hum with energy, and Ayo felt a surge of power coursing through his veins. He knew that they were not alone in this fight. The spirits of their ancestors stood with them, ready to defend their home. Ayo, Ad said, his voice filled with a quiet intensity, take this charm. It will protect you from Ikuim's dark magic. And remember, the spirits are with you. Trust in their guidance. Ayo nodded, accepting the charm and feeling its warmth against his skin. He closed his eyes, focusing on the whispers of the baobabs, now a soothing chorus in his mind. He could feel their strength, their ancient wisdom flowing into him, filling him with a sense of purpose and resolve. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the village in a deep, velvety twilight, Ayo and his allies gathered one last time. The air was charged with anticipation, and the villagers watched with a mixture of hope and fear as their protectors prepared for battle. Nia stepped forward, her eyes fierce and unwavering. We fight not just for ourselves, but for our ancestors, for our children, and for the future of Erua. Let us go forth with courage and strength. Olu raised his spear, his voice a rallying cry. For Erua. For Erua. The group echoed, their voices blending into a powerful chorus that resonated through the village. With one last, determined look, Ayo led his allies into the night, the whispers of the baobabs guiding their steps. They moved swiftly and silently, their hearts pounding with the weight of what was to come. As they approached the ritual site, the air grew colder and a sense of foreboding settled over them. In the distance, they could see the flickering light of torches and hear the low, rhythmic chants of Ikuim and his followers. The dark shaman stood at the center of the clearing, his arms raised to the sky, his voice echoing with dark incantations. The ground beneath him glowed with an eerie light, and the baobabs around him seemed to tremble with fear. Ayo signaled to Olu, who led a group of warriors to flank Ikuim's followers. As the distraction began, chaos erupted in the clearing. Ayo and Aid seized the opportunity, moving swiftly towards Ikuim, their hearts pounding with adrenaline. Ikuim, Ayo shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos, your reign of darkness ends here. Ikuim turned, his eyes glowing with malevolent power. You are too late, boy. The spirits are mine to command. But Ayo, feeling the strength of the baobabs and the guidance of the spirits, stood his ground. Not while I still stand. With that, the battle began in earnest, a clash of light and dark, of ancient wisdom and dark magic. The fate of Erua hung in the balance, and Ayo knew that this night would determine the future of his village and his people. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows that danced across the savanna, as if the very earth was holding its breath. The air, thick with the scent of earth and impending rain, vibrated with an unspoken tension. Ayo stood at the edge of the village, heart pounding in rhythm with the drumming of distant storm clouds. Tonight, the fate of Erua rested on his shoulders. Ikui had chosen the largest baobab for his sinister ritual, its gnarled roots twisting like the fingers of a great beast clawing at the earth. Ayo's feet felt heavy as he approached, the weight of his purpose anchoring him to the ground. The villagers had gathered in whispers, their faces drawn tight with worry, their eyes flickering toward the ancient tree, that loomed like a sentinel over their fate. The air hung heavy with an ominous tension as the sun dipped low in the sky, casting an eerie golden hue over the sacred clearing where the great baobab stood. Its gnarled branches swayed gently, whispering secrets only Ayo could hear. The villagers, hidden among the tall grasses, held their breath, their hearts pounding like drums echoing in the stillness. Ayo stood at the forefront, the protective charms clutched tightly in his hand, determination coursing through his veins like wildfire. Ikwim stood before the ancient baobab, a dark silhouette against the vibrant sunset. Clad in elaborate robes adorned with symbols of power and destruction, he commanded an aura of malevolence. His eyes gleamed with a feral hunger as he raised his arms to the sky, invoking the spirits he believed would grant him dominion over the land. A chilling chant slipped from his lips, each word laced with a dark magic that seemed to reverberate through the ground beneath Ayo's feet. Spirits of the baobab, heed my call. Lend me your strength, and let this land bow before me. Ikwim's voice rang out, piercing the silence like a sharpened spear. Ayo's heart raced as he watched the dark clouds swirling overhead, a harbinger of the storm that was about to unfold. He felt the weight of the moment, the gravity of his mission pressing down on him. He could not let Ikwim succeed. He could not allow the spirits of the baobabs to be bound to a man driven by greed. Now, Ayo. Now is the time, whispered Juma, his loyal friend, crouched beside him, his voice barely a breath above the rustling grass. We cannot wait any longer. With a fierce nod, Ayo stepped forward, summoning every ounce of courage within him. He glanced at his friend Juma, who had stood by him through thick and thin, Zara, a fierce warrior with an unyielding spirit, and the elders who had imparted their wisdom. Together they formed a united front against the darkness. Ikwim. Ayo's voice boomed, cutting through the shaman's incantations. Your reign of terror ends here. The spirits will not serve you. Ikwim turned, surprise flickering across his face before it twisted into a smirk. Ah, the young hunter thinks he can defy me. Foolish child. You cannot comprehend the forces you are meddling with. He laughed, a low rumbling sound that sent shivers down Ayo's spine. Ayo squared his shoulders, clutching the charms tightly. The baobabs belong to the ancestors, not to you. You will not use their power for your own selfish desires. With a fierce cry, Ao launched himself into the clearing, his heart pounding in time with the rhythmic thud of his feet against the earth. The moment felt surreal. Time seemed to stretch as he moved, each step amplifying the adrenaline surging through his veins. The villagers watched in a mixture of awe and fear, their breaths collectively held. Ikwim raised a hand, and shadows flickered at his command. Dark tendrils coiled around him, reaching out like serpents seeking their prey. You will regret this, boy, he hissed, unleashing a wave of dark energy that surged toward Ayo, crackling like a storm. Ayo dove to the side, narrowly avoiding the sinister shadows that lashed out, leaving scorched earth in their wake. He rolled to his feet, his heart pounding, and with a primal shout, he activated the first charm, its warmth radiating through his palm. The charm glowed, casting a protective light that dispelled the darkness momentarily. Now, my friends, he shouted, rallying his allies. Juma and Zara surged forward, brandishing their weapons, while the elders began chanting sacred verses, their voices weaving together a tapestry of hope and defiance. Ikwim's eyes widened with fury as he realized his power was waning against their combined strength. You dare challenge me? I will show you the true meaning of despair. He thrust his arms forward, summoning a tempest of shadows that swirled around him like a living entity, darkening the very sky. The atmosphere crackled with energy as Ayo countered with the second charm, its light pulsing brighter in response to the encroaching darkness. The ground beneath them trembled, and Ayo felt the spirits of the baobab stirring, their whispers rising to a crescendo, urging him onward. Remember, Ayo, the elders' voices echoed in his mind. You carry the strength of your ancestors. Trust in their guidance. A surge of clarity washed over him as he realized the truth. The power of the baobabs, did not lie solely in Ikwim's dark rituals, but in the unity of the villagers, their belief in the spirits, and their connection to nature. With renewed determination, Ayo raised his voice, calling upon the spirits of the baobabs. Ancestors, lend me your strength. Protect our home. The air shimmered with energy as a gust of wind swept through the clearing, lifting Ayo's hair and filling his lungs with the sweet scent of the baobabs. The whispers transformed into a powerful song, resonating with the heartbeat of the earth. The shadows recoiled, flickering as if in fear of the light that Ayo and his friends were unleashing. Ikwim staggered back, fury twisting his features into a mask of rage. You think you can overpower me? I am the master of the shadows. But as he spoke, Ayo felt the ancestral spirit surge through him, igniting a flame of courage. He leaped forward, channeling the essence of the baobab through the charm in his hand, releasing a radiant beam of light that cut through the darkness. The light struck Ikwim, and a scream of rage and disbelief erupted from his lips. The shadows around him writhed, battling against the brilliance that Ayo unleashed. It was a battle of wills, light against darkness, and in that moment, Ayo felt the weight of the entire village behind him. Together, Ayo shouted, urging his friends to join him. They rallied, channeling their energy into a collective force, their voices rising in unison with the ancestral song that echoed through the air. With a final push, the light engulfed Ikwim, illuminating the clearing in a blinding radiance. The shaman writhed, the dark tendrils recoiling as the spirits of the baobab rose, surrounding him in a protective circle. As the brightness reached its peak, Ikwim's form began to dissolve, shadows fleeing like frightened animals before the dawn. With a final anguished cry, he vanished into the ether, leaving only the echoes of his dark magic behind. Silence descended upon the clearing, a stillness that felt both foreign and comforting. Ayo fell to his knees, gasping for breath, the charm still glowing softly in his hands. Around him, his friends erupted into cheers, their voices ringing out in joyous relief. We did it. We did it. Juma cried, pulling Ayo into a fierce embrace, his eyes shining with gratitude and admiration. Ayo looked up at the great baobab, its branches swaying gently as if nodding in approval. The whispers of the spirits filled the air, a melody of gratitude and harmony, weaving through the hearts of the villagers. In that moment, Ayo knew he had not only protected his village but had also forged an unbreakable bond with the spirits of the baobabs. The battle was won, but the journey was far from over, and Ayo felt a new chapter of his life waiting just beyond the horizon. The air buzzed with anticipation, the sweet aroma of roasting meat mingling with the bitter tang of fear. Lanterns hung from the branches of nearby trees, their soft glow illuminating the determined faces of Ayo's friends, who stood beside him, ready to fight for their home. Each heartbeat echoed the urgency of their task, to stop Ikwim before he could unleash his dark magic upon them. As they neared the baobab, Ayo felt a chill sweep through him, a whisper of the ancestral spirits brushing past his skin. He closed his eyes for a moment, steadying himself, and reached for the protective charms the elders had given him, small pouches filled with sacred herbs and stones. The spirits of his ancestors pulsed within him, infusing him with courage and strength. Are we ready? Ayo whispered to his companions, his voice barely audible above the rustling leaves. Yes, his friend Kofi replied, determination etched on his face. We stand with you, Ayo. Together. Ayo nodded, gratitude swelling in his chest. With a final deep breath, they stepped into the clearing, where Ikwim stood draped in dark, flowing robes that billowed around him like a storm cloud. The air around him crackled with raw energy, the magic swirling like a tempest waiting to be unleashed. His followers encircled the baobab, their faces masked in shadows, chanting in a language that slithered like a serpent through the air. Foolish villagers, Ikwimi called, his voice smooth as honey but dripping with malice. You cannot comprehend the power I will wield tonight. The spirits of the baobab shall be mine to command. Your beloved trees will bend to my will, and you will be left to wither in despair. Ayo felt the surge of anger ripple through him. You underestimate our bond with the baobabs, Ikwim. You cannot control what you do not understand. Ikwim's laughter echoed through the clearing, chilling Ayo to the bone. Control? I do not seek to understand, I seek to conquer. Watch as I bring the spirits to their knees." With a flourish, Ikwim raised his arms, and the chanting of his followers intensified, resonating like thunder in the stillness of the evening. Ayo could feel the air thicken around him, a palpable force pushing against his chest, as if the very spirits of the baobabs recoiled in horror at what was to come. Ayo stepped forward, his voice steady and strong. "We will not allow this to happen." With a swift motion, he called upon the charms, their magic igniting a warm glow that pulsed in his palms. The villagers behind him rallied, forming a protective barrier, their resolve a beacon of light against the encroaching darkness. Ayo's heart raced as he met Ikwim's piercing gaze, both men locked in a battle of wills. "Fool!" Ikwim spat, anger igniting his features. "You dare challenge me? You will learn the true meaning of power." With a fierce shout, Ikwim unleashed a wave of dark energy, a shadow that surged toward Ayo like a tidal wave. Ayo felt the heat of it, the dread curling in his stomach, but he stood firm. He could hear the whispers of the baobabs, urging him forward, wrapping around him like a warm embrace. "Now!" Ayo shouted, and his friends surged with him, calling upon their own inner strength. Together they raised their hands, channeling the energy of their ancestors, their voices rising in a powerful incantation. The air crackled with magic, and a brilliant light erupted from their palms, clashing against Ikwim's dark wave. The two forces collided, creating a cacophony of sound that shook the very ground beneath them. Ayo felt the strain of the magic tugging at him, a battle of light and darkness swirling in a tempest of energy. Ikwim's face twisted in fury as he struggled to maintain his hold. But Ayo could see the flicker of doubt in his eyes. "Feel the power of the ancestors," Ayo cried, pouring every ounce of his being into the spell. The light from the charms blazed brighter, illuminating the clearing and casting long shadows that danced like phantoms. He could sense the spirits of the baobabs rallying to him, their strength lending weight to his resolve. Ikwim howled enraged, the dark energy flickering and faltering. "You cannot win. I will not be defeated by a mere child." With one final push, Ayo summoned all the love he had for his village, for the baobabs that had stood guard over them for generations. "We are more than just children, we are guardians." The words echoed like a thunderclap, resonating through the air, empowering his companions and enveloping them in a shield of light. The dark energy shattered, dissipating like smoke in the wind. Ikwim stumbled back, shock etched across his face as he realized his grip on the spirits was slipping. The baobabs responded to Ayo's call, their leaves rustling as if awakened from a deep slumber, ancient power flowing through their trunks. With a final surge of energy, Ayo felt the spirits intertwining with him, their whispers rising to a triumphant crescendo. "Leave this place, Ikwim. You are not welcome among us." The ground trembled beneath Ikwim's feet, and with a furious snarl, he turned to flee, the shadows retreating with him, leaving only the soft glow of lantern light and the gentle whispers of the baobabs in their wake. Ayo and his friends stood breathless, hearts racing as the realization of their victory washed over them. The village erupted in cheers, the tension of the evening dissolving into a tide of relief and gratitude. "Tonight, we have defended our home," Ayo breathed, gazing at the ancient baobab, its silhouette strong against the star-studded sky. "Tonight, we have shown that love and unity can conquer even the darkest of threats." As the villagers celebrated, the baobabs whispered their ancient songs, a melody of thanks that filled the air with warmth and hope, a promise of new beginnings. Ayo knew that their fight was not over, but they had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, united under the watchful gaze of the whispering baobabs. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a warm golden hue across the savannah as Ayo stood before the ancient baobab tree, now free from the oppressive grip of Ikwim's dark magic. Its gnarled branches, adorned with vibrant green leaves, seemed to stretch towards the heavens, celebrating the newfound freedom of the spirits within. A gentle breeze rustled through the leaves, echoing the soft, melodic whispers of gratitude that filled the air, a sound Ayo had come to cherish. The villagers of Erua gathered around, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of twilight. Murmurs of relief and joy spread through the crowd like wildfire, each person eager to share in the collective exhalation of tension that had gripped them for so long. Ayo felt their eyes upon him, a mix of admiration and respect washing over him, but he remained humble, knowing he had not triumphed alone. As the celebration began, the elders stepped forward, their wizened faces etched with lines of wisdom and experience. Among them was Mama Olabisi, the village's matriarch, her presence commanding yet gentle. She raised her hand, silencing the jubilant crowd, and with a voice that resonated like the heartbeat of the earth, she began to speak. Children of Erua, gather close. Today we stand not just as villagers but as guardians of our land and protectors of our ancestors' spirits. We have witnessed the darkness that sought to enslave us, but through courage and unity, we have reclaimed our home. Her words ignited a cheer, echoing across the savannah, and Ayo felt a swell of pride. Yet, beneath the surface of this celebration lay deep reverence for the trials they had faced. The villagers formed a circle around the baobab, hands joined, their hearts beating as one. The spirit of community was palpable, binding them together in a tapestry of resilience. Ayo stepped forward, his voice steady yet filled with emotion. It is not just my victory we celebrate today. It is the strength of our ancestors, the whispers of the baobabs that guided me, and the unwavering support of each one of you that allowed us to triumph over Equim's darkness. The crowd erupted in applause, their cheers mingling with the rustling leaves. The baobab's ancient presence felt like a warm embrace, a reminder of the deep connection they all shared with nature. Ayo could almost hear the voices of the ancestors whispering their approval, encouraging him to continue protecting the sacred land. As the celebration unfolded, the villagers began to share stories of their own encounters with the baobabs, their wisdom, their strength, and the magic they held. Ayo listened intently, realizing that each story wove a thread in the rich tapestry of their culture, reinforcing the bond between the villagers and the spirits of the earth. As dusk settled in, the villagers lit torches that flickered like stars against the darkening sky. Drums began to beat, a rhythmic pulse that resonated deep within Ayo's soul, calling him to dance. He joined his fellow villagers, their bodies moving in harmony with the music, celebrating not just a victory, but the very essence of life itself. Suddenly, the rhythmic drumming shifted into a slow, deliberate beat, and Ayo felt a change in the air. The villagers formed a line, their movements becoming more intentional as they began a traditional dance of gratitude. Ayo found himself at the front, embodying the spirit of the dance, a blend of joy, reverence, and resilience. He danced not just for himself, but for every villager, every ancestor, and every spirit that had fought alongside them. In the midst of the dance, Ayo's eyes drifted to the baobab, which seemed to glow under the moonlight. The tree, once silent, now appeared alive, its branches swaying as if joining in the celebration. The whispers grew louder, forming a harmonious song that echoed through the night. The villagers danced not just in joy, but as an offering, a tribute to the spirits that had guided them. As the dance reached its peak, Ayo felt a rush of energy coursing through him. In that moment, he understood the true meaning of guardianship. He was not merely a protector. He was a part of something much greater. The village, the baobab, the spirits, they were intertwined in a delicate balance that required vigilance, respect, and love. The night wore on, and as the moon cast its silvery glow upon the village, Ayo caught sight of Mama Olabisi, who had been watching with a knowing smile. She approached him, her eyes sparkling with pride. "You have done well, Ayo. But remember, the real work begins now. The spirits will always need guardians, and it is your heart that will guide you." Ayo nodded, understanding the weight of her words. The victory over Equin was not an end, but a beginning, a call to continue nurturing the connection between the villagers and the spirits of the land. The celebration faded into the night, but the fire of unity burned brightly in their hearts. As the last of the torches flickered out, Ayo stood before the baobab, feeling its ancient wisdom envelop him. He knew that as long as he drew breath, he would honor the spirits, protect his village, and ensure that the whispers of the baobab would never fade into silence again. The dawn of a new day awaited, filled with promise and the echoes of a story that would resonate for generations to come. Ayo looked towards the horizon, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that he was never alone. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over the village of Erua, a sense of calm settled like a gentle blanket over the bustling community. The air was thick with the sweet fragrance of roasted yams and the rhythmic beats of drums, signaling the beginning of a celebration to honor Ayo's bravery. Villagers adorned in vibrant fabrics gathered around the village square, their faces painted with joy and relief, their laughter mingling with the whispers of the ancient baobabs that surrounded them. At the heart of the celebration stood the great baobab, its gnarled branches reaching out as if to embrace the sky. It was here, beneath the watchful gaze of the ancestors, that the villagers had come together to give thanks and recount the heroic tale of Ayo, their young protector, who had saved them from the clutches of darkness. As the festivities commenced, elders adorned in their ceremonial attire took their places around the great baobab. The oldest among them, Elder Orun, his beard as white as the clouds above, raised his staff high, a signal that quietude was to follow. The villagers hushed, their anticipation palpable, eyes fixed on the elder whose voice resonated with wisdom and history. "O children of Erua," Elder Olorun began, his voice rich and melodic, "gather close and listen well. Tonight we celebrate not only our victory over darkness, but the spirit of unity that binds us. We honor our ancestors who whispered wisdom through the leaves of the baobab and guided our brave Ayo to confront the shadows that threatened our home." Ayo, standing modestly at the edge of the gathering, felt the warmth of the villagers' gaze upon him. His heart swelled with humility and pride. He had never sought glory, yet here he was, the hero of a tale that would echo through generations. As the elder spoke, Ayo's mind wandered back to the moment he faced Ikuim, the shaman whose dark intentions had cast a shadow over Iroa. He recalled the thrill of battle, the crackling energy of the ritual, and the way the spirits of the baobabs had surged forth to aid him. "Let us remember," Elder Olorun continued, "the strength of our connection to nature and the responsibilities that come with it. Ayo did not fight alone. He was guided by the whispers of our ancestors who dwell within the mighty baobabs. Their wisdom flows through us, reminding us that our bond with the land must never be severed." The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices lifting like birds taking flight, and Ayo felt a rush of gratitude. The villagers began to chant his name, a melody that filled the air and danced with the flames of the bonfire that crackled at the center of the square. The drumming intensified, creating a rhythm that mirrored Ayo's heartbeat, connecting him to every villager, every tree, every blade of grass in Erua. Suddenly the elders gestured for the younger children to join them, their eyes wide with admiration. They stepped forward, eager to hear the stories that would become part of their own lives. Ayo watched, a smile tugging at the corners of his lips, as the elders animatedly recounted tales of the ancestors, each story weaving in and out of the legends of their forebears, brave warriors, wise healers, and cunning tricksters who had shaped the very fabric of Erua. As night fell, the stars twinkled above, a tapestry of diamonds on a deep indigo canvas. The flames flickered, casting dancing shadows that played upon the faces of the villagers, transforming them into a chorus of ancient spirits celebrating their legacy. The drumming became a call to dance, and soon, the villagers, young and old, joined hands, their feet moving in harmonious rhythm, celebrating life, resilience, and the bond they shared. But amidst the jubilation, Ayo felt a stirring in his heart. He knew that while the victory had been won, the future was fraught with challenges yet unseen. He turned his gaze toward the ancient baobabs, their silhouettes standing tall against the starlit sky. a reminder of the spirit's presence and the protection they offered. As the festivities wore on, Ayo stepped away from the crowd, drawn to the whispers of the baobabs. He wandered among their roots, feeling the cool earth beneath his feet and the gentle breeze that rustled through the leaves. It was here, in the sacred silence of nature, that he felt the weight of his journey. The responsibility he bore was heavy, yet he was no longer alone. The spirits of the baobabs were with him, guiding him, empowering him. Ayo closed his eyes, allowing the whispers to envelop him. He listened intently as the voices of the ancestors resonated within him. Protect the land, dear child, they seemed to say. Share the stories and teach the next generation. Let them know that the battle is never truly over, for darkness can rise again. But with unity, courage, and love, it can be vanquished. Inspired by the ancestral wisdom, Ayo returned to the celebration, a newfound determination lighting his spirit. He stepped into the circle of dancers, joining the rhythm of the drums, allowing the energy of his people to lift him higher. He would not only be a protector of Erowa, he would be a teacher, a guide, ensuring that the stories of their past would inspire future generations. As dawn approached, painting the sky with hues of lavender and gold, Ayo's heart swelled with hope. He envisioned a future where children would grow up knowing the strength of their heritage, the significance of their connection to nature, and the power that resided within them. In that moment, he realized that the true legacy of a hero is not merely in the battles fought or victories won, but in the lives inspired, the stories shared, and the bonds forged in the fire of adversity. The legends of Ayo would echo through time, a beacon of hope for those who would come after him, reminding them of the power of unity, love, and the whispering spirits of the baobabs. And so, as the sun rose over Erowa, casting its warm light upon the village, Ayo stood tall, knowing that he had become part of something greater than himself, a legacy that would endure, a story that would never fade.